What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's reaction video is why so many Americans are leaving the Great Lake States.
Interesting. I wonder why.
Very interesting. And I'm guessing the Great Lake States are the top right?
Yeah. See, for me, my mind went straight away to Salt Lake City. But I don't think it's that.
Okay, that just makes sense.
But the Great Lakes probably makes sense being there.
There's just a lot of lakes up there,
There's
isn't
a lot.
there? We probably should know what the Great Lakes are. I've heard it before.
They are the Great Lakes, surely.
Yeah, I've heard it so many times. I feel like it's 6:30 on a Saturday. We've enjoyed the sun a little bit.
We've got no excuse.
I'm thinking the head's a little bit like tired.
I feel like looking at the map, that has got to be the best.
It's got to be.
Best shout.
But the thing is, it's going to be something really obvious, which we know. And if we're wrong, it's going to be like, oh my god, how have we not realised?
Maybe we should just let him tell us.
Yeah, let him tell us.
Like, yeah, we knew that.
Yeah, we shouldn't say anything. Smash that like button, guys. Smash the subscribe button. We would seriously appreciate it. If you have got a second and can do, the Patreon link is in the description. We're pushing it because we have a kid on the way, don't we?
We do.
We do. We're 20. You're 20. Well, not we. You are 23 weeks pregnant, aren't you?
Yes.
So we are pushing Patreon in every video. If you can't, we completely understand it. And just watching these videos is honestly enough. But we will mention it just in case because it really, really does help us out. Right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's check it out. Why so many Americans are leaving the Great Lake States? What we got?
The Great Lakes region is a beautiful part of the United States. Unparalleled natural areas along with an abundance of fresh water should make this region a huge source of migration, especially during a time when other regions might be running out of water very soon. Okay. Despite this, people in these states have been consistently leaving for the last few decades. Here's why.
Link in the description to Geography by Jeff, by the way.
Welcome to Geography by Jeff. I'm your host, Jeff Gibson, and today we're going to explore an interesting population migration pattern. An area of the United States that has one of life's most desired resources, water, is consistently on the losing end of migration. And more often than not, people leaving this area seem to be moving to areas that would be considered water distressed. And while that might seem counterintuitive, there's an actual reason for this.
I'm ready.
Before we get to why so many people are leaving this region today, we should probably start with the history of how this region grew, starting with its life as the original northwest region of the United States.
But did you have a boom in
the entire region we're talking about today was a primary economic engine for the entire country, with it experiencing a huge migration boom. All of the states we're talking about in this video were once part of a single region called the Northwest Territory. Following the Treaty of Paris in 1783, which formally ended the United States War for Independence, the Northwest Territory was semi-officially ceded by Great Britain to the United States. But despite this, the United States had a hard time gaining actual control of it. Various indigenous tribes would fight to keep their lands, and the British Army would regularly make appearances in the region in an effort to reassert their claims to the territory.
Oh, wow.
It would take a whole new war with Great Britain in 1812 to finally, once and for all, mark this land as part of the United States. And once that happened, a huge wave of migration would begin.
Makes sense.
In 1800, the US, the region would be home to just about 54,000 Americans. Just 20 years later, nearly 800,000 Americans would migrate to the territory, an increase of about 1,400%.
That's crazy amount.
And much of this initial migration was due to a concerted effort by the American government to give land to settlers to turn into farms. The prospect of free land to settle, it turns out, is a powerful motivating factor. As the territory evolved, it was eventually broken into different states. Ohio was first granted statehood in 1803, followed by Indiana in 1816, Illinois in 1818, Michigan in 1837, and finally Wisconsin in 1848. By 1850, the state of Ohio had surged in population to become the third most populous state behind only New York and Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
Indiana and Illinois were also growing very quickly, and much of this was driven by the Industrial Revolution. The states in the northern half of the country, but in particular Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan, experienced a manufacturing boom driven by the likes of the steel industry, the railroad industry.
I accidentally said construction before. What I was thinking was, it didn't mention Detroit, but Detroit obviously had the car boom. Like, they had a massive car industry boom, which is everyone moved there, loads of people built up, but then when that kind of collapsed, everyone moved out, which is why, I mean, we've done videos, haven't we, where you see the abandoned houses and stuff like that.
Sad.
So I guess this is going to be similar, but maybe not on as big of a scale as Detroit.
Yeah, maybe like scale down a bit.
Scale down a little bit, but then I guess people moved out, and that's why they're moving to the Great Lakes, because there's not as much business, I guess.
The textiles industry and the automobile industry. This region would also be on the receiving end of multiple large migration patterns of Americans through the early 1900s.
Okay.
First by African Americans who fled the South's harsh Jim Crow era laws, leading to the first great migration of African Americans to the North. Then by the migration of rural and Dust Bowl residents from the Great Depression searching for work in factories. And finally, by, once again, another great migration of African Americans looking to move north away from the southern states.
Okay.
By 1970, 1 out of every 5 Americans would call these 5 states home.
Oh,
But while
wow.
this region had
That's
grown
a lot of
consistently up to
people.
this point, something new was on the horizon that would lead to a dramatic slowdown in migration and, eventually, lead to more people moving out than moving in.
Okay.
The Great Lakes states were, at one point, the beating heart of American industry and economy. And because of this, people moved there en masse. Today, under a different kind of economy, those same states have struggled to maintain their prominence within the country.
Okay.
But before we get to why people are moving out of the Great Lakes states, if you're enjoying
Would
this
appreciate
video,
it.
hit that
Why
subscribe
not?
button.
Somewhere,
More fun
somewhere
geography
it is.
videos are just a
Down
simple.
below.
And also, we never mention the notification bell. Smash that notification bell and change it to all, and you'll be notified every time we upload. Why not? Why not more of a Beesley? We
Why
maybe. Oh, we got merch. Yeah. I don't know if the merch link works anymore.
It does.
Does it? There you
It
go.
does work.
You can check it out if you want.
Check out the merch. We'll put it in the description.
We need to. One day we will. Because we've got so much going on with the movie channel, with Patreon stuff like. One day, once we've got everything flowing stuff like, we will do proper merch again and push it and stuff
I mean,
like
there is
that.
proper merch on it.
Oh, there is
There is
proper merch on it.
We
But
just need to update.
And we'll come out with new designs and stuff like that and keep it fresh. But at the moment, we've got so much going on, we haven't really updated it. So the old
Maybe
designs
when I'm
are
on
still on there.
maternity leave.
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
Single click away.
The Rust
The Great
Belt.
Lakes states,
Sounds
as part of
interesting.
this video, have grown since 1970. Let's get that out of the way right now. But the rate of growth has slowed to a crawl and even begun to reverse for a couple of our states in recent years.
Okay.
In 1970, 20% of all Americans lived in these 5 states. Today,
That's a
that
lot.
number has fallen to about 14%.
That's still quite
And
high.
much of this slowdown occurred beginning in
It's
the year
dropped.
It has
2000.
dropped.
Between 2000 and 2010, the region grew by about 1.3 million people. Between 2010 and 2020, the region grew by another 1.1 million people.
Okay.
But
That's
while
not
that
bad.
sounds like a lot, it's actually pretty dismal for such a large area.
Oh, wow.
Put this in perspective, the single state of Florida in 2010 had 18.8 million people. By 2020, 3 million additional
Ooh,
Americans
okay.
moved to Florida. The unfortunate reality is that this region was a victim of its own success 100 years prior. As
Yeah.
the Industrial Revolution kicked off, manufacturing plants popped up all around the region. Cities such as Detroit, Flint, Indianapolis, Gary, Milwaukee,
Gary.
Cleveland,
What name, Gary?
Cincinnati, and many, many, many more were powerhouse manufacturing towns in the early and mid 1900s.
Yeah.
This fueled a wave of migration and an economy to match.
Love
But
cars.
starting around 1970, things began changing.
It's a
Once
shame,
stable,
innit?
It is.
high-paying manufacturing jobs began moving to places far away from the United States. Places where companies could create the same product for far less money, no union labor, and welcoming governments looking to bring businesses to their distant shores. This would lead to a hollowing out of these same once industry-heavy cities. As factories closed, the economy took a huge hit.
Yeah.
And when there's no economy, people tend to move away.
Go
Gary,
where the money
Indiana
is.
is perhaps an extreme example. In 1970, Gary had over 175,000 people living within the city. Today, Gary is home to fewer than
Ooh.
70,000 people.
That's
This
a big
exact same
drop.
scenario has played out in
That is a very big drop. Like,
That is a big drop. Wow.
that is a massive drop. Well, pretty much over, well, it's over 105,000 people left in the space. I know it's 50 years,
But
but
still, that's a
you'd
It's
have,
a lot of people for 50 years.
and you'd have some people moving in still, so in theory, more
yeah,
people
and
there.
like so many people coming over from other countries.
People giving birth as well,
yeah,
and
that's,
stuff like that.
that's a lot of people.
So a lot of people buggered out of Gary. And Gary's a great town name. It's the first time I've heard it.
Gary, I think it's not a weird name. It's just it's weird compared to the other one.
It's like it's
like
the proper
Milwaukee
first name,
and
innit?
Columbus, like Gary.
Yeah, you know Gary's a first name. So, oh yeah, that's the town, Gary.
many cities across all 5 states, and has led to the states becoming part of the unenviable region called the Rust Belt. As manufacturing jobs moved overseas to the likes of China and Vietnam, there were no additional jobs to replace them. And if there are no jobs, people are likely to
Yeah,
move to
it's
where there
true.
are.
Yeah.
In this case, many people moved first to California, and now to Texas and Florida, where the economies are booming and the cost of living is still relatively low.
Yeah, a lot of people go
While
to
this all
Texas.
seems very doom and gloom for the region as a whole, a reversal of fortunes could be on the horizon.
Oh, okay. Also,
Well, today this
I mean, he's going to give us a reason, but could another reason be if it is potentially cheaper? The only problem is the crime rate is probably higher in them states. I don't know, but I'm guessing it is because everyone's moved out, less people, less money, a bit more poverty, I'm guessing as well. But if the crime rate isn't too high in these spaces, cost of living will be lower because it doesn't make enough money. And if you can work from home nowadays, people may move there because it may be a cheaper place to live.
And you don't actually have to go out of your house to work.
You could get the money, not go out your house, but you could live in that state and still earn the money, like maybe a Californian state.
Yeah, so exactly. You could work from a different.
Your business might be located in California, paying the money,
but you can still work
from home because that's slowly coming in. So maybe these.
Well, it makes sense. Doesn't it?
So you'd be living cheaper, but getting paid the same as if you're living somewhere else.
Yeah.
I don't know how common that is, but the more and more that rises, it made me think, oh, let's move to a cheaper state.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think in the comments to that. It may happen.
The region is pretty stagnant in terms of migration. There exists a global event that is starting to shake things up quite a bit: climate change.
Yeah.
In 4 of the states that grew the most over the last few years, Arizona, Texas, Florida, and South Carolina, are each going to have to face a reckoning with climate change long before the Great Lakes region will. This is largely because of where each state is located. In the Southwest, both Arizona and Texas are running out of water. Despite recent rains bringing much needed relief, climate change is expected to only worsen the mega drought impacting the region. In Florida and South Carolina, both states are expected to lose large parts of their coasts as global sea levels rise from the polar ice sheets melting. And finally, heat waves are expected to get longer and hotter for the entire country, but this will have a disproportionate impact on the southern states, which are already far warmer than the north.
Yeah.
And with warmer air comes warmer oceans. And with warmer oceans will come larger and more destructive tropical storms and hurricanes.
See, that's
all this
scary.
Is to say, in an age of climate change, the southern states will face the brunt of the impacts. That's not to say the Great Lakes states won't be impacted, but they are relatively protected. The Great Lakes themselves house fully 21% of all surface freshwater on the planet.
Wow,
and climate models have this region actually becoming more comfortable as other states get unbearably hot.
On the planet?
It's for this reason that we are starting to see some people move back to the region as fears of a warming climate and its impacts are starting to be felt.
We've got to save our planet,
This would, of course, lead to a resurgence in migration and potentially a second breath of life for the Great Lakes states.
I still can't get over it, but them lakes have 21% of fresh water on the whole planet. You ain't running out of water anytime soon there.
21%.
The whole world. That is actually a mental stat, isn't it? I'd definitely be moving up north. If I could find a safe state, safe town.
That's what I need. I need safety.
Yeah,
otherwise...
Obviously, you're not guaranteed safety anywhere, but you don't want to be the worst crime rate state.
I couldn't leave Jersey knowing how safe it is in comparison. I need you to find me a really safe place to actually consider it.
Yeah, Jersey Channel Islands, for people who are going to confuse us for New Jersey, the old Jersey.
It's so
super safe. And crime rate's so low.
I don't know, you'd have to find me somewhere unequal.
I don't think we'd get that. But somewhere which isn't that bad, I could do with.
Yeah, somewhere where like you're not just walking down the street and something happens to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Today, the Great Lakes states remain fairly steady in terms of population overall, but some are doing better than others. Illinois leads the population of the region with about 12.8 million people, followed by Ohio with 11.8 million, Michigan with 10.1 million, Indiana with 6.8 million, and Wisconsin with 5.9 million.
I'll go to Wisconsin for the cheese.
And while the growth of this region as a whole has been fairly anemic in recent decades, one state has actually started to shrink: Illinois. In 2010, Illinois had about 20,000 more people than it did in 2020, and this is largely because of outmigration. Between 2018 and 2019, 117,000 more people moved out of Illinois, and 20,000 more people moved out of Michigan than moved in. Ohio, Indiana, and Wisconsin each did have more people moving in, but not by much.
So I'm out with those.
And this has a huge impact on the overall population of any given region. Due to a declining birth rate overall, states are relying more and more on external migration to keep their populations growing. And without an increase in population, things such as basic infrastructure begin to suffer without a tax base to maintain it.
The Great Lakes states are a beautiful region of the country that is literally overflowing with water. For this reason, there's a lot to be excited about for the future of this region. But past economics have hollowed it out a bit, and, at least for now, people appear to be more eager to leave than move in.
I hope you enjoyed.
Okay, but
interesting.
It seems like it's going to be a state on the rise.
Yeah, for like maybe
20 years time.
It'll go up again.
10, 20 years time, it'll be like absolutely booming. Let us know your thoughts on the comments below. If you're from any of these states, praise your state. Let us know how good they are in the comments below. It was good, wasn't it?
It was. It's interesting, factual.
Definitely.
But they always are.
As always with Geography with Jeff, his link's in the description,
Yeah.
as always. If you can check out Patreon, we'd appreciate it. But watching, if you made it this far, you're an absolute legend. Just watching this far as well. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I've just said this line, so smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, and watch your baby.
Have a fantastic day.
And we will see you legends in the next one. Peace.